Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, welcome to the Sports Corner on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. Today is Thursday, November 20th, 2025, almost at the New Year's. Almost there. This semester went very quickly, but we have a lot to talk about here on the Sports Corner. Sebastian Stratton, joined from left to right, Brittany Gerardo, third time's the charm on the show. Welcome back again, Brittany. Lorenzo Gonzalez the third, and Jeremy Rodriguez. No James Gregg today. He had to do some other stuff with the morning buzz, but that is A-okay because we have a lot to talk about on the Sports Corner today. But before we get into any of that and much more, how is everyone doing today?
Good. How are you guys?
Wonderful.
Exactly.
Best you could be.
All right.
Those are the answers that I'm looking for on this chilly November day. But now it is time to dive in to the National Football League because we have a lot on the agenda today. And it's only right if we start talking about this team, the Chicago Bears.
The Bears.
7-3 on the season. First place in the NFC North after the Lions lost to the Eagles on Sunday Night Football last week. Chicago Bears, what do we think of their success? And are they a legit contender in the NFC?
I say that it's really tough. It's really tough. Bears have had a phenomenal phenomenal turnaround. And it looks like they struck a 4-leaf clover, if you ask me, or 3-leaf clover, if you ask me. They've been really, the defense, Sebastian, has been unbelievable for this team. And it's only fitting that we talk about them as the first team for the show because our team, the Steelers, will be playing them on Sunday at 1 o'clock. The Bears, they actually have three. I will say this, the Bears' defense has been really solid all around. But here's the thing that was brought to my attention this morning and what I looked into. They've been close as can be with games, but they've beaten teams that are all under 500 by only a couple points. They really have, and that's not their fault. It's really just been their schedule. They can't decide the schedule in the league. And if you look down the teams that they've played against, they've had the Raiders, which was an ugly game. They won by 1 point. Still exciting. Washington, they beat Washington by 1 point, the Jake Moody field goal, who's now in Washington.
He's bouncing around everywhere.
He's bouncing, exactly. I don't know why the Bears got rid of him, but not my team, so I don't know. You could look into that one. They dominated the Saints, but the Saints are an awful team. The Ravens, they got totally that was their worst game so far. That was just an awful game all around because they lost to a team that didn't even have Lamar
with
starting.
A backup quarterback. Tyler Huntley, first game back with the Ravens.
And Derrick Henry didn't even have a great game himself. Or did he? He had a good game.
He was good on the ground. He was solid.
He was good on the ground like the second half. They got a late start, but they weren't going. Then they beat the Bengals in a hilarious game. They beat the Giants in a close one. And then recently, the past game that just happened, they only beat the Vikings by 2 points. Which is, once again, all scary situations that the Bears fans are in. I think that they're the biggest heart attack team this season. If you're a Bears fan watching every Sunday, your heart is melting each time because you're used to this. You're used to the fourth quarter collapse, the second half collapse. It's happened all throughout the season. But I will say, Caleb Williams is looking very solid this season. It's only his sophomore year, but he's really grown into himself a lot better than last season. And I can't underestimate the coaching. The coaching of this team has been absolutely phenomenal. It's been a lot better than, and I mean phenomenal compared to last season. Ben Johnson has really changed the energy of this team in the locker room. You can see that the building blocks are there. I think the Bears are definitely poised for both postseason, but there's a big B-U-T in that. We need to see them against tougher opponents. There's no question about it. The strength of the schedule, and it's going to start this week. The Steelers game is going to be a very interesting game, and I'm really looking forward to see what they do there. Because the rest of the season, you got the Eagles afterwards, then you got Green Bay. And then you have an easy game against Cleveland, but then you have Green Bay again, and the Niners, and then to finish the season, you have the Lions. So you have all tough teams that are over 500, minus the Browns. It's going to be a rough schedule. It's going to be very interesting to see what they can pull off. They can't really rely on those second-half miracles.
Very well said, Lorenzo. And I think I agree with you 100%. And especially with the Bears, looking at their schedule, you would go through this season gauntlet, if you want to call it that, and think that they had some pretty good teams that they would have to go up against. Coming into the year, healthy Joe Burrow. Not saying the Bengals were supposed to be good, but their offense still is and was supposed to be even better with Joe Burrow. Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson is hurt. He doesn't play in that game. They still lose. The Commanders weren't solid. They didn't have Jaden Daniels. And then Dallas, Detroit, and Minnesota. They lost to Detroit and Minnesota, but they have this gauntlet schedule coming up, as you mentioned, starting with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The first game they are playing against this weekend for a team that is above 500. Then you have Philadelphia, Green Bay twice, San Francisco, and Detroit. Jeremy Rodriguez, do we believe in the Chicago Bears?
No, I'm not a believer, unfortunately. I think the Lions, they had a tough week last week against the Eagles. The defense of the Eagles really surprised me. I didn't think they were going to go out there and play that great and really shut down that Lions offense as much as they did. But I think it is the Lions division. I don't think the Bears find the way to stay. I mean, the Lions are just right there, only one game behind. Even the Packers too, 6-3-1, and Detroit 6-4. Either one of those two teams could take it. And I see Chicago's point differential; it's -6. So they're in close games. They haven't really proven anything. The last time they played the Lions, they got smoked by 31, and they actually lost to the Vikings this year as well. They're 1-1 against the Vikings. So those are two teams in their division, and they're 1-2 against that. So it's tough to see where they are right now. The last 7 weeks of the season is definitely going to be the storytelling of this group. Pittsburgh's going to be tough, Philadelphia and Green Bay. I think those 3 games right there, if they win 2 of those 3 games, maybe I'm a believer then. But right now, I am not.
Well, I think for Chicago, the first thing they have to do is gather around and hold a prayer circle because they do not want to see Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is a Bears owner, has been a Bears owner for his entire career. I don't think you want to see that because if you get Mason Rudolph, I think this defense can feast. And how about the storyline here? Arthur Smith's offense for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was the head coach for the Atlanta Falcons previously. And Dennis Allen, who is now the Bears defensive coordinator, he was the Saints head coach and is now the Bears defensive coordinator. Those two did not like each other when they coached against each other twice a year back when they were head coaches. So definitely a lot of storylines going into this matchup. So we will see who will win this one. And Lorenzo, I know you have something to add to this.
I do have to say, in a preview to that Steelers game, and a preview for the rest of the season, as I already mentioned, I do agree with JR. I think it's in the middle. I really think it's in the middle. It just depends later on down the line. That's what it matters most, if they're a contender or a pretender. But take this into mind, if you will. 3 players. 3. Kevin Byard, the third. Tremaine Edmonds. Nashawn Wright. 5 interceptions, 4 interceptions, 4 interceptions. The 3 corners, 3 different corners and safeties on the team, they are the league leader in interceptions. Those are 3 different guys on the team. Any team that passes against this, any team that's offensive strength is passing, I know that they're going to struggle with passing. Not as much on the ground, and that's kind of crazy because the Bears are usually known for being amazing on defense on the ground, not so much the pass. But this year's actually been a huge change. You look back into in the 85 team, the 06 team, all those teams that the Bears have had, even in 63, those championship teams, they've all been on the ground defense. This year, it's on the air, which is extremely surprising to me. I think any team that has a great passing offense is going to struggle against that secondary. No question about it.
Well, them Steelers better be ready then.
They better be.
They better be ready.
Any team better get ready passing.
Jenna Warren, I'm just saying, he gets shut down, you guys aren't scoring points.
DW, Darnell Washington.
Darnell,
DK.
We saw the podcast
Roman
yesterday.
Wilson.
He's always open, but Rodgers is always looking DK's way. Darnell Washington, 6'8", 311. He's basically a unicorn running. People said he should have converted to an offensive tackle. He is doing great things. He's doing great things at the tight end position, though. You give him the ball, how do you guard him one-on-one? Especially if you take a 5'10", 5'11 corner? No way. But Lorenzo, I think for your sake, there has to be a way. Me and Jeremy are going to work on it after the show. Build you a time machine so we can go back to the 60s and the 70s and let you relive those moments in person.
I already have one. But in person, if you could do that in person.
I know we have YouTube.
In person.
In person. We need it in person.
I'll I don't know. I got to pay you guys back if you do that. I got to pay you.
We have to find a way. We must find a way.
We will. We will find a way.
We will work on that. I'll continue to get some thoughts as the show goes along and after the show. But those are the Chicago Bears, 7-3 in the NFC North, number 3 seed behind the Philadelphia Eagles and the Los Angeles Rams. But shifting over to the AFC, this is a team, 3 Super Bowls under Patrick Mahomes, have had great success for the last decade. The Kansas City Chiefs, after the Denver Broncos beat them last Sunday, the Denver Broncos, who sit at 9-2 on the year, have a 2-game lead in the AFC West and a 3.5-game lead over the Chiefs. The Chiefs, they host the Indianapolis Colts this weekend. I think, in my opinion, this division is long gone. I think this is the Broncos division. The question becomes, is the Chiefs missing the playoffs a reality?
Listen, I think with the Chiefs, what are they, 6-5 or 5-5?
5-5.
They're
5-5.
500. Yeah.
I don't know what I think about the Chiefs. I really don't. I think they do sneak into the playoffs. I don't see a world where Mahomes doesn't make it. I don't see a world where that happens. If it does happen, I'll really shock not only me, but I think a lot of NFL fans, because it's just Mahomes. You know, he doesn't have much around him this year. Well, I mean, he has his talents back. His weapons came back. I think it's just a matter of just finding the groove, because obviously we know the situation with Rashee Rice and everything. He came in late in the year and stuff, and I think it's going to take a matter of time. And they have a big matchup against the Colts. They're going to have to find a way. Kareem Hunt hasn't really looked the best. That running game, Isaiah Pacheco, when he does play, doesn't look his best either. So it's really just Mahomes train every time the Chiefs play. And I think the Broncos, I said on Earl's show, I think they're the second best team in the league. I do. I think the Colts are right behind them at 3, and I think the Pats are 4. I just think the Colts and the Broncos have a better chance to be successful in the postseason than the Patriots do. And I think the Chiefs, you know, the division, I think, is not theirs anymore. I think the Broncos do win that. But I do think the Chiefs make the postseason wild card. I just don't see a world that they don't make it right now. I don't know why.
Oh, I completely agree with Jeremy. I think that the Chiefs are going to somehow sneak in. And I think it's because of strength of schedule, once again. Just same thing, same narrative with the Bears. I think it's strength of schedule. I mean, after the Colts game, look who they have coming next. They have the Cowboys, which are decent, but their defense is horrible. They can easily win that one, especially with an offense that's just kind of slightly good, like the Chiefs this season. They just have a horrible defense to count. They're the second worst defense in the league statistically, so I think it's going to be an easy game for them. Then they got the Texans, which they're just a dumpster fire this year. I mean, everything bad that could go wrong for them did go wrong. They're just not that team. The Chargers. No.
Chargers are whack.
I'm going to tell you this.
No, they're whack.
I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this. Hold on. I'm going to say the Chargers, I don't think are going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, they're
and
not
I'm going to tell you
good.
why. But I do think that they could have the Chiefs' number in that game, and I think it's because of an AFC West divisional thing.
Yeah.
I think that game could flip either way. The Chargers I don't buy them as a team though. As much as you guys don't.
Chiefs will be home against the Chargers. But for the Chargers, people talk about put Justin Herbert in the top 10 quarterback.
The Chargers? They're not. I don't think they will. I don't think so either.
He's
I don't buy.
Blown up by 30 to the Jaguars. No disrespect to the Jaguars, but
the Jaguars aren't.
They beat the Steelers, but no, they're mediocre. They're like half.
The Steelers aren't that good though.
The Steelers are good, man.
No, they're not.
But they need better. We need to see them in much better competition. I know it's been a rough year.
Well, the AFC North, no doubt, can easily come down to Week 18 when they play Baltimore in Pittsburgh. That's a game where the Week 18 schedule doesn't come out until Week 17 is completed. There would be no doubt in my mind if that game is flexed to Sunday Night Football and Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth are on the call. But for the Chiefs, it's not as if they've been losing to mediocre teams such as the Bears, where the Bears lost to the Ravens who didn't have Lamar. Every game that the Chiefs has lost has been to a playoff contender. They haven't lost a game by more than 6. Every single game for the Chiefs has been close. You lose to the Chargers. I don't know if I would call them a playoff contender, but they are in the mix right now. Eagles are there. Jaguars, Buffalo, and Denver. So for the Chiefs, as you mentioned, Lorenzo, the schedule gets lighter. You take on the Colts. I don't know if I would call at all an easy game at Dallas on Thanksgiving with that offense.
I'd say it was. They don't got a defense.
They can still score. They can score.
Yeah, they can still score, but you don't win ball games if you don't got defense. You do not win any ball games. You could have.
The Jets have 2 wins, but no defense.
Yeah.
They have a much better defense than Dallas. They have a much better defense.
I don't know.
I don't think there's too much of a difference, but it's compared to Dallas is bad. Dallas leaves so many points. They let the Raiders are an awful team this year. They let them have 16 points.
That's not that much, bro.
16's not that much in the NFL. When offenses get the ball at the 35-yard line nowadays, where you need basically 2 first downs to get into field goal range, that's honestly not that crazy.
How about the Panthers game when they let them 30 points? The Panthers.
Panthers are good.
They're not good.
They're 6-5.
They're not that good.
They're one game. They can legitimately win the
6-5?
They can win the NFC South with the way the Bucs have been playing. If the Bucs lose on Sunday night to the Rams,
I don't know what's been going on.
They're
with
in
Tampa
first
Bay.
place.
I don't know what's been going on.
Baker
with Tampa.
Mayfield.
They're not that good.
Oh, they're good. I just don't know. They're collapsing right now
because Rashad White can't run. Rashad White is horrible.
Sean Tucker had 3 touchdowns the other day, though, taking his spot.
He's right.
That is true.
So I don't know
the game's not good
for the Chiefs.
Because Bucky Irvin got hurt.
Yes, but he was practicing, so he might come back this week.
Bucky Irvin got hurt again?
He's been hurt since week 4.
He's been hurt for a while.
Oh God.
Well, head coach Todd Bowles,
know that.
he said that they can't trust to put Bucky out there until he shows he can play on that shoulder, which has hindered his ability to actually go out there and make physical contact. But for the Kansas City Chiefs, they just need some of that Taylor Swift voodoo magic. Spread some of that onto the field, Brittany Mahomes, whatever's possible. Find a way to get in. I think 10-7 gets you in the AFC. 9-8 is very difficult. Will come down to last season. Similarly to the Cincinnati Bengals, where they were 9-8, they were 8-8 going into Week 18. They needed a loss from the Chiefs. They needed the Broncos to beat them. Didn't happen. They did not get in. So we will see for the Chiefs. The ball is still in their court. They still control their own destiny. But we talk about destiny, and that is exactly what this one team has done over in the NFC West this past weekend. In a critical divisional showdown with both teams sitting at 7-2, the Los Angeles Rams defeated the Seattle Seahawks 21-19 and improved to 8-2 on the season with sole possession of first place in a competitive NFC West. A game where Sam Darnold throws 4 interceptions. It still comes down to the final play of the game. A 61-yarder attempted by Jason Myers was no good. That kick was horrible. Only Chris Boswell can do such a thing. I love you, Chris Boswell.
Cam Little, baby.
Cam Little, yes.
Chris Boswell, my beloved.
But what do we think about the NFC West, the Los Angeles Rams? Are they primed to go back to the Super Bowl once again?
I don't think so.
Really?
And the reason I say that is because the NFL is loaded with talent. I do think they can make it back to a Super Bowl, but the NFC West is really not even. I don't think it's theirs. Like right now, like spot on. I think the Seattle Seahawks are still only 1 game behind, and the 49ers too. I think the 49ers have a chance to sneak in there. They're 7-4, only 2 games back. You know, the Rams have a few tough games. And then the 49ers have been hot. I mean, they have to play Tampa Bay and Carolina back-to-back. And then they have Detroit and Seattle later on in the year. So it really anything could happen. But then they also have Arizona twice and Atlanta. So, I mean, they have some easy matchups, some matchups they could win, but also some matchups that they can definitely lose. And I think if they're not careful, they could probably definitely not win the NFC West. I think, again, the 49ers have a really legitimate shot. But I do think the NFC West is going to be the Seattle Seahawks at the end of the day. I do. But I do think the Rams are definitely the best team right now in the NFC. One of the best teams in the NFC. I think they're better than the Eagles, but I think they've got to finish the job. They're 8-2 now, but can Matthew Stafford, he's 37. Is he able to finish off the season? He's had a great 10 games. The offenses look pretty. He hasn't thrown an interception in like 7 weeks, I think, something crazy like that. But can he continue it? We'll wait and see. But I do think the Rams have a shot to win, but I don't think they will this year. No.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually agreed with Jeremy twice on 2 different. How many times do you see that in a row in football?
Why you're
okay?
Yeah,
I would. You make horrible takes with the Steelers.
You make horrible takes with the Jets. Let's not even begin with the Bengals. You guys, hey, listeners out there, do you remember that episode where he said they were going to be the sleeper team this season?
Hey, Joe Burrow.
Let's say that.
Hey, Joe Burrow, he fully practiced this week.
He fully practiced.
Watch out, bro. That's what I'm gonna say.
A little too late in the season,
10-7's on the table.
A little too late in the season.
10-7 is on the table.
Get out of here. 10-7. Get out of here.
Keep playing around. Keep playing.
Oh
see what
my
happens.
God. Oh my God.
Hey, I'm just saying.
10-7's on the table. Anyways, I'm a believer in Seattle. I'm a heavy believer. I honestly think Seattle can be a contender for the Super Bowl, if anything. I like to flip that question around and say Seattle. I think they can definitely win the West. They got another game coming up later in the year against the Rams. I think right then and there, they're going to beat that. They're going to win. They're going to beat the Rams. I think the Rams they're on a good streak. I don't think that they're a Super Bowl contender. I think they definitely make the playoffs, no question about it. NFC West is going to be loaded. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Niners, the Rams, and the Seahawks all in the playoffs, and they all go deep. It could end up being a year of the West again, just like we saw in 2013. It could end up going down to that. We could see a Seahawks, 49ers NFC championship, and I wouldn't be surprised because the NFC West is just like the North. They're one of the most exciting divisions in football right now. I would say the North is, but right now, currently this week, the West is probably the most exciting division. And the Cardinals, not having the best streak right now, but they might be getting up there.
No,
perhaps.
They're
Maybe. They're better than when Murray was on the team, but still, they're not. That's not saying too much because they're still not that good. Seattle, JSN. I just have to say, he's the league leader in receiving yards this season. He has been a centerpiece for this team. And then you factor in that defense. You factor in the way that Sam Darnold's been able to throw all season long. There hasn't been one game where he's been off. Darnold has he's done wonders in this league so far. What was that? Wait, what was that?
But he's right. Four interceptions.
Oh, last week?
He's definitely right. But anytime you can...
Okay, besides last week against the Rams.
Only lost by 2,
enough.
and he threw 4 interceptions.
Crazy to me.
Only lost by 2.
That's crazy to me.
Still was able to pull it through.
That's crazy to me.
But yeah, 4 interceptions. Okay, I actually didn't remember. I forgot about that performance against the Rams recently.
Because they were in that game. They only lost by 2, and Sam Darnold played that bad.
That's why. And the defense didn't really show up too much. They weren't like...
Only 21 to a good Rams offense isn't terrible.
But they weren't like, it wasn't like a big
They weren't
showcase.
like a Pittsburgh forcing 5 turnovers versus the Patriots type of performance.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Well, that's what Mike Tomlin lives by, so... A little Mike Tomlin reference for your Thursday morning.
You always make a reference of him. Like, you always find a way to somehow make a reference of him.
How can
Anything we're talking about.
At the end of the day, I can hate on him as much as I want, but he'll always be a Super Bowl champion.
Another 9-8 season loading, baby.
Yes,
They've
sir.
only been 9-8 for one season. Let's stop. No. Let's stop. I'm putting my foot in the ground because let's stop this. They've been 9-8 for one season. If you're gonna make a joke like that, you got to be accurate at least. They've had more 10-7 seasons in the past 4 years.
Even worse,
they've been 9-8.
Lower draft pick. Then we still don't get a franchise guy. Let's reach for small
How many
hands.
times do you see a team
Kenny Pickett,
be
yay.
consistently that good?
That's not consistently good. That's consistently mediocre.
That's consistently good. You make 10 wins. If you're consistently 7 wins or 8 wins, then yeah, that's consistently mediocre.
They have not won a playoff game since Barack Obama was the president.
That's still more recent than some other teams.
So we're degrading ourselves to other teams
We're not
because we're the
degrading
Pittsburgh
ourselves to other
Steelers.
teams.
We were supposed to be the top of the class. Now
They're
everybody
still competing. They're still competing every year.
giving up 45 points in the wild card game is competing. How
No,
is that
that
competing?
game wasn't competing, but
They go 10
still
and 3.
keep going to the wild card game.
That's fine, but at some point, look at the Patriots. You fire Bill Belichick, one of the greatest coaches of all time. I don't care what you want to say about Tom Brady carrying him. He has 6 championships, only allowed 3 in the Super Bowl versus the Rams. You fire him. You hire Gerard Mayo. Everyone was bashing Robert Kraft for firing him after 1 year. They revamped the franchise.
No, they weren't. Were they?
Yeah, Gerard Mayo got...
He was awful. Wait a minute. Who in New England was upset about that fire?
A lot of people were.
They were awful.
I know Ryan Clark and
They
Stephen
won
A.
like
Smith
4
were.
games.
But for the New England Patriots, they have that ability to be good, and we will see what will happen because in the NFC West, not just the Patriots and the West, a lot of teams can be very good and put out that opportunity to showcase themselves in a big way. So we will see what happens in the NFC West. But our final story in the NFL goes with the AFC North, what we just talked about, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. 6-4 for the Steelers, 5-5 for the Ravens after starting off the year 1-5. What do we make of those two teams?
I'll tell you what, Steelers, they have to lock in because this is the stretch of the year where really anything can happen, where a team starts to grab the momentum and keep it. I mean, we're seeing it with so many teams. The Bears, 3 in a row. So many teams have won so many games in a row. I mean, the Rams, 5 in a row. The Patriots, a whopping 8 in a row. Like, it's just so much. The Broncos 8 in a row. There's a lot of teams right now with a lot of momentum. Even the Ravens, they won 4 games in a row, 5-5 now. I mean, to go from 1-5 to potentially winning the division would be crazy.
They didn't catch it right.
So
it was just in time.
I think the Ravens,
7 seconds.
I think the Ravens have a legitimate shot of taking this division. They're only 1 game back, and they have the Jets and the Bengals back to back. So I think those are 2 games they could win. The Jets, I think they're easily going to win. I don't think the Jets stand a chance. I'm not going to lie to you. Pittsburgh Steelers, that game can go either way. But again, you have to play the Steelers twice. You have to play the Bengals twice. But then you also have a stretch of the Patriots and the Green Bay Packers back to back. And then you have the Steelers the last week of the year. So for the Ravens going to be tough. I think the Steelers are 6-4. I don't think their division is set in stone. I think that division can go to the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Ravens. I don't think the Bengals have a shot. I think they should just rest Joe Burrow, honestly. But I think it's between those 2 teams. And right now, I can't give you a clear winner. I got to see more of the Steelers, and I have to see definitely better defense from the Ravens because last week, yes, they won, but they barely beat the Browns. That was kind of a sneaky win where they were down in the 4th, I believe. They were down late in the game, and then they came back and they barely won by 7. But again, a win is a win, and you move on and you win 4 in a row. So I think that's the momentum.
You can never take winning in general for granted in the National Football League. Winning isn't easy. I get we do bash Mike Tomlin, but his ability to definitely go out there and win close games, it doesn't come down to luck. It comes down to having a game plan, being able to show out in the 4th quarter, and really putting your full potential on display. But before we take a quick break here on the Sports Corner, Lorenzo Gonzalez III, any last thoughts on the AFC North?
Yeah, it's definitely a tough division, like Jeremy said. And I hate to say that because, they really should have, and it's going to haunt me the whole season, definitely. When we lost 2 points on Thursday Night Football, that was awful. That was a terrible performance. They're 2-1 right now in divisional games, but that's not saying much. We've only played the Bengals. We've had 1 game against the Browns. I definitely think we could sweep the Browns the next game. That Ravens game was a key game of the season, though, because I don't buy them. I straight up don't buy them. That was an awful game by Baltimore. They had an ugly win. They should have, and unlike the Steelers, who held them under 10 points, you let a Browns team that has almost nobody on it, almost nobody worth mentioning this season that's been good, come back like that after you have a mark. And the Ravens, not like they're having a bad year at all. They're still even after when we talked about the Bears game earlier. They produced against the Bears. They had a great game with Huntley, right? Who was the quarterback, I believe. Yeah, Tyler Huntley was a quarterback. So it was if I'm Baltimore, that's a very disappointing win. Very disappointing because you come back that late. And I know you guys, it's true. It's always hard to win the NFL in every game, but to a team like that really has nothing going for them, it's just an ugly way to win. It's an ugly game in general. So they need to lock in just as much. I think both teams need to lock in, but I don't have hopes for that division this year, honestly, going far. I think it's going to be the same story both ways around. I think they're both going to get eliminated early in the playoffs. There's not going to be too much to show for. AFC is always a weak conference, but even then, you have teams like the Bills, the Patriots, the Colts, the Broncos, who, as JR mentioned earlier, they're all much better teams. Every team outside the division is much better. It's just the AFC North is against each other.
It will be very interesting to see in the AFC North coming down to two great head coaches in Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh. NFL in general, a lot to look forward to in Week 12 of the NFL slate. But we are going to take a quick break here on the Sports Corner. You are listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. And when we return, we will shift over to the MLB because we have to recap some awards and talk about some big deals that were just made. Stay tuned and don't go away just yet. We are back here on the Sports Corner on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. Sebastian Stratton, Brittany Gerardo, Lorenzo Gonzalez, and Jeremy Rodriguez. And it is time to shift over to Major League Baseball because there were some moves that were made and some awards handed out that are definitely worth mentioning. We talked about it last week with James Gregg. He is not here today. I know he has his opinions. But the MVP awards were just handed out in Major League Baseball with Aaron Judge of the New York Yankees and Shohei Ohtani winning the Most Valuable Player award in their respective conference. Jeremy Rodriguez, hot take on that. If there is a hot take at all.
No, I think who won the MVP award should have won him. I mean, I know James's opinion. He said it to me countless amount of times that why was it so close? Why was Cal Raleigh only 4 first place votes away from taking the MVP away from Judge? I think it's not really a hot take. I think Judge deserved it. And I think Ohtani deserved it too. I mean, those two guys, generational talents. I mean, Ohtani, to be able to throw 100 on the mound, to be that efficient on the mound, that one game shocked my mind where he pitched 6 innings, 10 strikeouts, gave up no runs, and then hit 3 home runs, got on base 5 times. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's really ridiculous. Like, he's one of the best generational talents that MLB has seen years to come, and I don't think it's definitely a case to talk about in the NL. I think Shohei Ohtani is cutting clear. I think AL, you can talk a little bit more. Kyle Raleigh, obviously, 60 home runs, hasn't been done by a catcher at all in MLB history. So I think, a lot to talk about there. I don't think it was a hot take. Judge deserved it more. I mean, what he did with the Yankees, 2 straight years now, he had over 300 with 50 bombs. I mean, and someone his height too. It's hard for someone that's 6'7", 6'8", as big as he is, to do that consistently 2 years in a row. It's tough, and he's been doing that his whole career. Kyle Raleigh, though, I mean, only 4 first round. 4 picks away from taking it. Definitely controversial, but I think Judge should have won it.
Everyone likes to paint the picture, specifically talking about Aaron Judge versus Cal Raleigh, that Cal Raleigh catches every game, plays good defense, and Aaron Judge is just a hitter. Aaron Judge is not only one of the greatest hitters of our generation, he is a fantastic outfielder, right field primarily this year, which makes a lot of sense as he gets older to shift him over to right field in terms of longevity. We know he can play center field, but for Aaron Judge to stay healthy in a 162-game season that spans from late March up until early October, it's only right that Aaron Judge stays healthy and plays right field. But he had one of the greatest statistical seasons of all time. A .331 average in a game where starting pitchers are averaging upwards of 100 miles an hour is unheard of. Nobody sees that nowadays, where people can hit for both average and power, and that is exactly what Aaron Judge did. 179 hits, 137 runs scored, 53 home runs, 114 RBIs, 12 stolen bases. Jeremy, do we agree with the narrative that Cal Raleigh should have gotten a little bit more leverage because he catches every game?
I mean, I think when you look at it from like a fan perspective, I guess, because catching all those games that Cal Raleigh did, and then to go out there and still be that dominant hitter, I do get what they're coming from, because catching is a very tough position. I mean, you're not in a very comfortable position for a lot of games. I mean, he played 159 games, so he only missed 3 games this year in the regular season. And to count only his postseason as well, his postseason absolutely phenomenal. 5 home runs in the postseason. I mean, I know they don't put that into factor, but still, what was he able to do this year definitely should have been talked about a lot more. But I just think, I mean, he only hit 247. He hasn't hit over 247. Actually, 247 was his highest batting average in his career in a season. So I think, you can't really compare the two, because yes, he catches every game, but Judge had an OPS of over 1.100, and Kyle Raleigh's this season, despite hitting 60 home runs, 125 RBIs, only had a slugging of 589, batting average of 247, and an OPB of 359. So all of those absolutely way lower than Aaron Judge's. The catching, I don't think the catching puts him that above Aaron Judge, just because he catches every game, when Aaron Judge is as good of a defender as Kyle Raleigh. I mean, a lot of people say that Kyle Raleigh is not even one of the best catchers in the league. So, I mean, I know James Gregg thinks that Alejandro Koch is a better defensive catcher than Kyle Raleigh. You can go out of the way with that, but definitely the offensive hitter of the year, I think Kyle Raleigh is, but Aaron Judge is definitely the MVP.
Well, I know James Gregg said that, but going into the playoffs, I do agree with, in terms of arm strength, Cal Raleigh didn't necessarily throw a lot of guys out. But going into the playoffs, I don't know the total innings. Someone would have to do 162 times 9. Don't have my calculator with me handy. But for Cal Raleigh going into the playoffs, those amount of innings, he did not allow a single passed ball. He calls a great game behind the plate, really helps out his pitchers, knows exactly when to go out to the mound and calm his guys down, which is really important as a catcher. Not just knowing what pitches to call, reading your pitchers, having a genuine conversation with them on the mound, and just calming them down in general. So I think that's really important. For Aaron Judge, as we mentioned last week, and Shohei Ohtani, this is someone in the year 2080, 2090, us will be talking to our grandkids, and you refer to how you saw Aaron Judge, 6'7", 282, a mammoth of a man, one of the greatest players, just going out there, and he's similar. Not saying he's Babe Ruth in terms of his stature and how he'll be remembered, but he is someone that has cemented his legacy as a New York Yankee and a baseball player in general. So it's very exciting to see Shohei Ohtani, comparing him to Babe Ruth, the first two-way player since the Babe. So you like to see that. Two players on star-studded teams, the New York Yankees and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Those are your MVP winners. But sticking on the subject of the New York Yankees, this past week, qualifying offers were sent out by all 30 MLB teams to players that became free agents that they believed needed a qualifying offer. And that is upwards of $22 million, and that can be offered to any impending free agent to try to convince them to stay on a one-year deal and give them an opportunity to build off the previous season. And for the New York Yankees, that qualifying offer was sent out to center fielder Trent Grisham, and he accepted the $22 million deal and will return to the New York Yankees for the 2026 campaign. Had a very good regular season. Fantastic defender, probably the best defensive outfielder in Major League Baseball. 30-plus home runs with the short porch. But in the playoffs, he went away, was not the leadoff hitter that the Yankees needed or wanted. Trent Grisham, Jeremy Rodriguez, how do we feel?
I don't feel great about it right now. Trent Grisham, I don't... It's kind of like how Lorenzo thinks about Washington's playoff run last year. Same thing about Trent Grisham. Like, I don't think he's going to have 30 home runs again this year. I think Trent Grisham... You know, with Yankee Stadium, it's a lot easier to have 30 home runs in a season. Obviously, with the short porch and right. And Trent Grisham is a lefty, so it goes his way. But I don't know how I feel about it right now. I mean, you have better options in free agency coming up. I mean, I know there's a lot of talk about Kyle Tucker. He's not coming to the Yankees anymore. So, you know, they had better options. I don't know, like, what the time span was. I don't know if they could have waited. But they definitely, if they could have waited, they should have. I think, again, you have better options on the table for free agency. And I think Trent Grisham definitely, I'm not saying he's not a great option. He's a great option at center field because he's one of the best defensive centers in the entire league, like you mentioned. So I think he's a great option, but I think they should have waited because there's better hitters than Trent Grisham on the market. So I think the Yankees could have made a better decision there. But, you know, they went with their gut. They trusted the guy who came in, hit 30 home runs, and brought the Yankees to the promised land again, to the postseason. Just didn't show up in the postseason, which is where it really truly matters most. So I guess the Yankees just have trust in their guys, and I think as an organization, as a front office, you want to see that as a fan. You want to see your front office kind of have trust in your players and not just kind of throw them under the bus like the New York Jets did this year. So you just gotta trust in your guys, and I think the Yankees did a great job at that this year. And they trusted their guy. They went with Grisham, so let's see how it pays off for them.
My biggest question right now for the New York Yankees, I do believe the thing with the qualifying offer, the Yankees have to offer it in a certain period of time, and then Trent Grisham has a certain period of time to accept. But what's the plan with Jason Dominguez? What is the plan with the man, the Martian, as a nickname, the guy who is supposed to be the cornerstone of a franchise to go along with Aaron Judge, Anthony Volpe, who is not good. I don't know why I even brought up his name. Ugh. Got the chills right there. But Jason Dominguez and Aaron Judge were supposed to be the prized possessions of your outfield, and then potentially re-signing Cody Bellinger. Now it seems as if there's an odd man out. I know Cody Bellinger isn't currently on the team, but what do you do with Jason Dominguez? Do you trade him? I've seen packages for Tarek Skubal being thrown out there in the offseason. Is that possible? Do you just keep rotating him in every day? I don't like that idea. I think Jason Dominguez deserves some run at the outfield position, similarly to how Anthony Volpe got run at the shortstop position for 3 years.
I don't know I don't know what the Yankees are like planning to do with the outfield spot. I know Bellinger, he's not even a lock to return to the team. the Yankees are linked to a bunch of different players, but with Dominguez specifically, he fought off an injury a few years ago and he didn't have a role at all last year, especially in the postseason. Trent Grisham struggled, and Aaron Boone didn't really care, really. I mean, Jason Dominguez didn't really get much run, and when he played, I think he did a phenomenal job. He hit 257, hit 10 home runs, and 47 RBIs in only 123 games, but he was still, again, trying to find his groove after that tough injury that he faced in 2024. He only played 18 games that year, but, his first 2 seasons in his career, he's played 26 MLB games. Last year, he played 123, so I think it's a step in the right direction. But I think Dominguez deserves some run for sure. I mean, the postseason, he definitely should have gotten more run. I mean, his only at-bat in the postseason was a double. So I think he has. I think Dominguez is a guy the Yankees could trust, but I don't know. With Boone, I don't know if he's going to trust him. I don't know why. Dominguez is a good player to me. I think he has a shot to be really good in this league, but he has to get the run because he hasn't really gotten much playtime with that injury. I mean, it was his first real season his whole career, so he still needs a lot of time to improve. And I think the Yankees know that, so they have to hopefully play him this year, if not trade him.
Pinch hitting in the playoff game for Anthony Volpe in Game 4 of the Division Series off of Lewis Varland, one of the best relievers in Major League Baseball. Definitely throws the fastest, upwards of 102 miles per hour. First pitch, boop, double into the right center gap like it was nothing. Volpe probably would have gotten up there, and who knows what he would have done. Probably another strikeout. So, and it's not specifically Anthony Volpe. It's the run that certain players get with the Yankees. Austin Wells got a lot of it when he was catching. I guess the mindset, and Aaron Boone said it in particular, there weren't guys to replace Volpe at the shortstop position, similarly to Wells. But you got Jose Caballero. He barely got any run. He had a week when Anthony Volpe got that cortisone shot in his left shoulder. So Jason Dominguez deserves that same type of run. And I don't know what you do about Cody Bellinger. He had a great 2025 campaign, 272 average, 29 home runs, 98 RBIs, and 13 stolen bases. Great outfielder as well, can play all 3 outfield positions, and can play a little bit of first base as well. So we will see what Brian Cashman and Hal Steinbrenner have up their sleeve. But the last move that we will talk about today is out west. Once again, a lot of West talk today. It is that time because the Seattle Mariners made a move recently with their first baseman, Josh Naylor, as they signed him to a 5-year, $92 million deal, which takes him through the 2030 season. Josh Naylor was a cornerstone of that team for that season, led them to the ALCS, and he had one of the most underrated 2025 seasons. A .295 batting average, 20 home runs, 92 RBIs, 160 hits, and how about this? One of the slowest foot speeds in terms of running from home to first in the MLB, running the bases in general. He had 30 stolen bases. If you watch a Mariners game and turn them on, for those on the East Coast, unless it's the Yankees playing, I don't know who's really staying up until 10 p.m. Eastern to watch the Mariners, but he is one of the best base runners in the MLB. His secondary leads, his ability to not be a base clogger and actually go from first to third on doubles and a gap and score. He does a phenomenal job at first base defensively. Lefty bat in that ballpark, which is not necessarily a hitter's park, he does a great job going gap to gap. Jeremy, what do we think of the Seattle Mariners re-signing their first baseman, Josh Naylor?
I think it's a great move. What they did last year, Seattle, definitely shocked the entire MLB world. I mean, not that they were a bad team by any means, but they in that Toronto series specifically, that's what really caught my eye because they were really competitive against a Toronto team that everybody thought had the best offense in the league and this and that. But the Mariners stayed in there. I mean, they went to 7 games. This is a young Seattle team that, Josh Naylor has improved drastically from his San Diego days and his Cleveland days. I mean, this guy has improved drastically. And what was that cornerstone you mentioned? 31 home runs in 2024 with the Guardians, and then comes in with Seattle after being traded from the Diamondbacks. But still, this guy was a vital piece to what this offense did, and in the postseason specifically. I mean, if you're able to produce like that in the postseason, the Mariners did a great job. I mean, 340 batting average in the postseason in 12 games, 16 of 47. I mean, he hit 3 home runs, which is a career high in the postseason for him in a postseason, and then the stolen bases you mentioned. I mean, 2 stolen bases in the postseason, and then 30 stolen bases in the regular season. Everything has improved. He's a guy that gradually improves every single year. And that's a guy that you don't wait to re-sign. You definitely want to sign him right away. And that's a guy that I think that's a good thing that the Seattle Mariners did. They signed him right away because he was a guy that was linked to other teams as well. So that's a good thing that they got him off the market as soon as possible.
Definitely no need to let him test the market in general because could have gotten other offers somewhere, but he has found a home in Seattle, really did well this season. Part of that piece, that trio for next season in Julio Rodriguez, Josh Naylor, and Cal Raleigh. A lot going on in the NFL, Major League Baseball. More news will be announced as they come out. Have a great Thanksgiving, everyone. No show next week. Happy early Thanksgiving. You have been listening to the Sports Corner.
We're all going to miss the Sports Corner.
Always.
Let's go, Jets.
We're going to miss it. Let's go Steelers, baby. Here we
Steelers. Go. On 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, from Sebastian Stratton, Lorenzo Gonzalez, Jeremy Rodriguez, Brittany Gerardo, who had to leave early. That is going to do it here today. Have a great rest of your day, folks, and have a great weekend.